So, DJ, last night I had a dream. It was just very vivid. Lately, I've actually been having a lot of very vivid dreams.
Okay.
And last night I had this specific dream where my sister was working for a coffee shop that's not the one she currently works for.
Mm.
And it didn't get a lot of business, but her boss like paid her a lot of money and paid her strictly in cash. So like we were pretty certain that the coffee shop was a front for something, but it was one of those
Sure.
like, it's in the back of your head. You all kind of recognize it, but there's no like we're not going to do anything. Like that's just what it is, right? Well, we get to a point where me, Brittany, and my mom, we notice something that we're not supposed to, or we figure something out that we're not supposed to. And so we're like, well, we got to go on the run. Like we got to get out of here. So next thing I know, we're mom, Brittany, and I are in the pines somewhere. Could be Appalachia, could be the Pacific Northwest. Like I don't know where we are, but we're in the pines. Like we're in this mountainous area that's just pines. It's gorgeous. And I have this very vivid image in my mind of like we're standing outside of a cabin and there's one of those lights on the outside of it that's just swarming with bugs. It's humid, it's dusk, and across the street we see like this little convenience store and you can see the fluorescent lights coming out of it and there's an ice chest next to it and you can hear the hum, the buzz of the bugs, et cetera, et cetera. And we're just standing out there talking about like what we're trying to do, where we're going to go, and my grandma's there, or some old woman that I have some kind of a familial relation to is in the cabin with us. And I don't know, like that's what's going on. And then as we get into our station wagon, one of those classic ones with wood paneled sides, I get a phone call from Brittany's boss. Not sure why he called me, but he did. And he just like very calmly explained to me that he was getting rid of somebody as we were on the phone who knew too much. And he was going over this with me. And then he was like trying to figure out where we were, just real politely, real calmly, but just kind of like hinting at what was going to happen to us. And I was just very politely trying to get off the phone. And then he says something really ominous. I don't remember what it was, but he said something really ominous and then hangs up, like the line goes dead. And then some headlights turn on behind us. And that's when I wake up.
What a dream. I was definitely expecting that to be a joke.
No, that was my real dream last night.
Cool.
This is everything but the cats. We've been workshopping different ways to do introductions, so I thought I'd throw this in the ring.
It's a great introduction, Gage.
My name's Gage,
I'm DJ.
and here we talk about everything, except for one specific thing. Today, I talked about a dream I had. Do you have suggestions as to what it means? Leave them in the comments below. Please. I don't know what it means. My mom's convinced someone gave me a demon. I don't know. I'm kidding. Not really, but kind of. But yeah,
Thanks, Jennifer.
this is everything but the cats. Today,
Yeah.
we are recording a few episodes in advance. As you can see by the calendar behind me, if you can see it, it says October, but this is November. So we're recording a few episodes in advance because planning on taking the month of November off for reasons that I may or may not want to actually have out there. So I might edit this part.
No, you should leave it exactly as it is. So it sounds like your sister's boss is coming for you and you've got to leave town for a few weeks.
So yeah, we're planning on taking the month of November off in terms of recording, but we are still going to have episodes for you. So we're trying to get those done in advance.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
We
go ahead. Sorry.
we are dedicated to all the people who would notice our absence. Garrett.
Yes. There are a couple more who would notice our
Yeah.
absence, I think. Jake.
Jake. Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
DJ has something that he's going to talk to us about, and it has nothing to do with my dream at all.
Yeah. Well, no, it doesn't.
I was like, wow, did I hit the nail on the head with that one?
Yeah, so it's November, as you can tell. If you close your eyes and picture Gage's calendar saying November, you can tell that it's November. You could be watching this any month, really. Maybe we've made it big by the end of 2026, and people are watching through our old archives and like looking for bad stuff that we've said to cancel us. Easy peasy. Like really not that difficult to pull off, I will say. So yeah, maybe that's where we're at. Whatever month you're listening to this, I would maybe it's probably better if you listen to this in like the summer, but that's all right. It's November. Give it a listen. So today I am going on a floating trip in 2 days. I'm leaving
Hmm.
on Friday. Gonna be like overnight. So my friend Matthew and I are going on this trip, and it's in a similar area to where we went on our first trip, but it's the other river. So it's the current river between Acres Ferry and Poltite are the name of the two stops. And along the way, there's a spring that comes out of a cave, so you can like canoe like into a cave that like has a spring coming out of it. Looks like the pictures I've seen looks really cool. So my thinking is take them out there, see, how fun it is, how pretty it is. And the last trip I did during the fall was really pretty. It's a bit earlier in the fall than the last trip I did, so leaves haven't turned quite as much.
Hmm.
But that's okay. It should still be a pretty nice time. So anyways, I'm going on a float trip with my friend Matthew. And so because of that, I thought that we should do a breakdown of the Whitewater Rapid Classification System.
Okay.
Yeah. So very good November content
Hmm.
if you live like south of the equator.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Gage? Or
Oh,
if you're crazy.
I was just going to say, I do think it's interesting. I've been asking a lot of people because as of this episode coming out, we will have already been doing this for 2 years, but we're coming up on that in a couple of weeks. And pretty soon after this episode, and in general, pretty soon after this, we'll also be hitting 100 episodes, which is just really exciting. Like, that's a milestone. I looked into it. That's a milestone that only 5% of podcasts get to.
No
So,
way.
yeah, which is crazy.
Top 5%. Let's go.
In that regard, yeah.
I mean, you like we've made jokes. Have we made jokes about how you look like Joe Rogan?
No, we haven't actually.
No way.
That's
And I
that's
look
fun.
like maybe Shane Gillis a little bit. I don't know.
We're
Similar build.
we're Joe Rogan and Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
Uh, yep. As we just talked about getting canceled. But anyways, a lot
Yeah.
of people have told me, and by a lot, I mean two of our consistent listeners, which is more than any other episode has gotten, have told me that
Sure.
their favorite episode was our "How Not to Do a Canoe Trip" episode.
No way. They like
Yeah,
hearing that stuff?
they really did.
Jerks. All due respect.
One of them was Garrett, which is
I bet
funny.
it
I
was.
thought he would say the Jingle Bells episode because he said that was the funniest episode we've done
Because of our attitude.
because of our attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should come into this one with the energy as if we've recorded it 6 times
Yeah, let's do it.
now. These are the Whitewater classifications.
Now, what you would have heard the first time we did this,
Yeah. To be clear, my audio is coming through, right?
yes.
Yeah. So that's fun. There are a lot of wrong ways to do a rafting trip. What I will say is I've never led a, a whitewater type trip. I've never led an intense trip. I've done some whitewater rafting at CIY. Like I would guess that 20,000 people have done whitewater rafting because of a CIY trip. Is the guess that I'm going to give.
I'd say it's much higher than that, even.
Just in our high school youth group.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've done some whitewater rafting on the Ocoee River in Tennessee, and then some river in Colorado. Not the Colorado River.
Was it the Cache San Pudre, I think?
No idea. I believe it.
There.
I can be convinced.
So, funny story about the Ocoee. There are some people in my Bible study that I go to on Wednesday nights who have been on the Ocoee multiple times. Like, they grew up
Okay.
going on the Ocoee. Now, that makes sense because that's Cleveland, Tennessee, and we're in northern Mississippi. So, like, we're really close to Tennessee. Not really close to Cleveland, but yeah, a bunch of people in this area have been on the Ocoee.
Nice. I would go again for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and like, I'm not in charge, so I just
Hmm.
have to do what the guy says, and I don't mind that. Excuse me.
I like being directed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
way easier.
it's so much easier.
I have had a few times ever since I got the raft. I feel like there's always one person, and this isn't necessarily a complaint, is the way that I'll put it. There's always at least one person that does not want to be captained. Not that they want to be the captain, just they don't want to be captained. Which, as the captain, is fine. I said I wasn't going to complain. Is totally fine, and I love it. Even that's the natural order. Is
Hmm.
that the person that owns it and has a vested interest in it should not be the person in control of it. Anyways, not complaining. I don't mind not being the captain, though, except when it's my boat. Anyways, let's talk about the Whitewater Classification system.
Yes.
The only thing, when Gage and I had our, like, life and death experience, we were on, like, a 2. So just keep that in mind. Maybe we could even say, like, high 2 or
High
2
two.
plus.
Yeah, high two probably.
2 plus, low
Because there
3.
was there was
Yeah,
yeah,
there's standing waves for sure.
like standing
Yeah,
waves. Yeah.
yeah.
The Debris
So
was the hard part.
yeah, that is correct. Anyways, let's jump in. So in the Whitewater, so it's tricky. There are two systems. It's not tricky. There's one that like everyone uses, and then there's one that they use specifically at the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon goes from 1 to 10, and there's like a rough like 1 to 2 equals like 1 over here. 3 to 5 equals whatever. We're not talking about the Grand Canyon. That can be another episode. That buys us more time. Uh, we're talking about the one that kind of everyone uses, which has 6 levels. Gage, you know a bit about these, right? We've
Yeah.
talked some about this. Have we talked on the air about the on the show about the types of fun?
Yes, we have. We did in our previous episode on
Okay.
our canoe trip,
Okay.
our
Good.
near death experience.
Yeah. Good. 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 Okay. So we don't have to talk about that. We're just going to talk about the levels of Whitewater, and there are 6 levels. So I'm really trying to find the way to like flesh this out more because it's pretty simple. Level 1 is so they go from 1 to 6. 1 is like least intense, 6 is most intense, and it's actually kind of a pretty wide range. So level 1 is like the water is chill. Maybe there might be little ripples on the water. Current isn't really like pulling you anywhere too crazy. There might be a rock that you can, that you might need to steer around. Might even be like a tree that's kind of on one side of the river, and you just need to like go around it. And if you are capable of steering, you can handle a class 1. And not only that, if you're not capable of steering, you can probably handle a class 1 rapid. And it's silly that they're called rapids. It feels like they were invited to the scale because the rest of the numbers like felt guilty for not inviting them. Because like essentially the idea is like if the river is not doing something interesting, you are experiencing a class 1 rapid.
So the trip that we did with Jacob and Evan was mostly one. Was mostly
I
class one. I argue entirely class one.
I would argue entirely class 1.
Yeah.
So the Sac River in Stockton, Missouri, near Stockton, Missouri, is entirely class 1. I went on a trip recently. Did I tell you about that trip?
Barely, barely.
Took Meg like kind of our so mega group is what we call it. We used to be one small group. We got too big. We split into 2, and then both of those have grown. But we still do stuff together every once in a while, and we
Mm-hmm.
call it mega group. Mega group went on it, and by that it was exclusively people from my small group. But I invited mega group, so came on them all.
That's good.
Okay, so I took the trip out. It was like a month ago, if that, few weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and my understanding was that this river is dam fed, means very well fed. Uh, it's dam fed, and so every night they open the dam for a couple hours or whatever, let it let the like flow get up to a certain point, and then they turn it off, and then essentially what you're floating on the next day is like the leftover from that water. And if it's like been raining a lot, then it might be a little bit higher still. So like when we went, it had been raining a lot, so it was a little bit higher when we went. Or was that the other trip? I've done 3 trips there now, but this most recent trip, it had not rained in a long time. It was a very rainy beginning of the summer, and then it's kind of slowed down. It still rains every once in a while. I need to mow, and I'm sick of it. But I, yeah, it hadn't rained for a while, and so I'm like, okay, great. It's fed by the dam. We're good. It doesn't matter that like these other rivers would be low right now. We're gonna be good. And so I go bring the raft. A few people are on their own kayak. Well, own like they're renting kayaks. A few of us are on the raft, and we show up. And when the water is low enough, they do not feed the river, as what I learned that day. And so what we dealt with was that pretty much all of us were kind of walking, not the whole time, but essentially the whole time. And that one is like if there's a class of river that is guaranteed to be type 3 fun. Like, is that class 0? I don't know. It was at least, at most, class 1. Except both of the other guys in the raft did, like, hurt themselves. Like, one was trying to get into the raft and, like, fell off the side of it, like, right onto a rock and was in some pain kind of the rest of the day. And then the other one was, like, pushing the raft and, like, just walking full speed ahead and, like, shin right into a rock.
Mm.
The whole rest of the day, I'm like, oh crap, like when's my time gonna come? And it didn't. So that's good. Um, but yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that story because that was like an hour ago. We've been recording 35 minutes. It was like an hour ago. But that's class one. The Sac River is class one. Usually, kind of type one fun.
Mm-hmm.
But this last time it was class zero, type three fun. I would say no, I was gonna say like I'd say the worst rapid is the one that you have to walk, but that's not true. We'll get into it very soon. So that's class one. Is like if it exists and you're not having to do anything about it, that's class one. Class two is where it starts to pick up a little bit, and even this like there are distinctions between class one and class two, but for like the average, even like beginner kayaker, paddler, whatever, class two is like nothing too crazy. Water might kind of pull you one direction. So a lot of like the actual rapids on the Jacks Fork River, which is where we went the first time,
Mm-hmm.
would be class two, where you kind of like there's a bend in the river, and if you don't do anything, there's a chance that the water might pull you into, into the wall or like into a tree or whatever. And so you have like, you know, 10-15 seconds of like intense paddling and like we got to steer and like get over to the side. We got to work hard to get out of this situation. And that's that. And but like even if you were to like hit the thing, you're probably going to be okay. Um, there's not a lot of risk for like sober people who are wearing life jackets. If you don't fit both of those classifications, there is danger in class 1 rivers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like inherently dangerous. It's not that every drunk person who goes swimming without a life jacket in a class 1 river is going to die. But if you don't meet those two classifications, there's just inherently more danger on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And there are actually kind of statistics to back that up. I don't know the statistics for being drunk, but in cases of drowning, it's like 85% of the time people that drowned weren't wearing life jackets, which means that like 15% of the time they were. And some people hear that and they're like, huh, well, I guess life jackets are useless then, which I can't fathom how they come to that conclusion
Yeah.
from that other than wanting to be silly. Um,
So I have two comments on that real quick. The life jacket
sure.
thing. There
Yeah.
was a lake at the town that we lived in Nashville, Hendersonville technically, but we were a suburb of
Yeah.
Nashville. But there was a lake there, and they had a sign at the lake that said, like, in the last 5 years or last 10 years or whatever, 72 people have drowned in this lake. 73 of them weren't wearing life jackets. So, like, the thing is, they just hadn't updated the first number, and they did
Yeah.
update the second one. It was the number of them who weren't wearing life jackets was bigger than the number of them who drowned.
That's how dangerous it is to
That's how
not wear a
dangerous it
life
is.
jacket.
There's 101% chance.
Yeah.
But the other thing, our family, I grew up going to the Lake of the Ozarks, grew up
Yeah.
on water. My dad grew up on water, grew up at the Lake of the Ozarks. The rule has always been wear a life jacket. Like that's always been our rule that if you're going to be near the water, even if you're in shallow water, you wear a life jacket.
Yeah. It's a
Uh,
good rule.
we value survival more
Yeah.
than the lack of inconvenience, I guess. I don't know.
The
Because it's
lack
not
of
even,
something on your chest and back.
yeah, the ability to tan. So, but my dad, the closest he ever got to drowning, he was wearing a life jacket because what happened is he was sitting on the edge of the boat and his dad pushed him over the edge and the straps on his life jacket caught on the side of the boat and he was stuck with his head and his feet in the water but like
Yikes.
his back and butt were stuck to the boat.
Yikes. What a terrible way to go. And like I'm just picturing like as a dad like I'm glad he was able to help, but like if like you can't help and all you can do is just watch, like
Oh man, yeah. So that
man.
was dad. He
Cool.
was probably like 12, 11 or 12 when that happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't when he was the father he is now,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, that's fair.
Always, it's
That's really
funny
funny.
for me to imagine though, like whenever I hear stories about my parents being younger, I just imagine them being who they are now in that situation.
Yeah.
And it's just really funny.
Man, that's really good.
It's like I'm so bad with the concept of imagining people any way other than what they are. When I
Yeah.
remember stories of me when I was younger, I'm bald.
Great. When you remember girls being like, "Your hair is so great, Gage," you're like, I don't know about that,
Yeah, I don't what, but yeah.
man. Yeah, so class two is pretty chill still. Um, the waves are a little bit bigger. Like, yeah, you have to work. You have to work a little harder.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time when I'm on the rivers that I do, most of the time I'm just kind of gently steering. The person in front is like providing the power, and then I'm yeah, like I'll just do little strokes every now and then to make sure the boat is pointing the direction that we want it to point. And sometimes that's like we see a tree that's down across half the river, and you see it from a tenth of a mile back, so you start early and kind of make your way the direction you want to go. But then on like a class two rapid, it's like okay, we're like both working and like
Mm-hmm.
trying to not get caught on stuff.
I
So
will say we were sober and wearing life jackets when I was the closest to tasting death I've been in the last 10 years.
yeah, it'll get you.
It'll get you on a class two.
So yeah, so class three is where things start to get like this is what like people that do rafting, like this is kind of where they start for fun. Not like this is what beginners do, kind of, right? Like if you're a
Yeah.
beginner whitewater, you're probably looking at like class three
Mm-hmm.
rapids. Yeah, that feels like a good guess. But like this is like if you're someone that's in it for the thrill,
Mm-hmm.
I mean class two does it for me if I'm honest.
Same.
But if you're someone that's like a real freak, then class three is probably like where your heart is finally going to start like beating a little faster. And what you're looking for in a class three, let me give like a better description of class two real quick. Straightforward rapids, wide clear channels, small waves. That's a class two. Class three, you're looking at like rapids with more moderate irregular waves, so the waves are going to be a bit bigger. I think what we were in, I would based on this classification, I would put it 2 plus, kind
Mm-hmm.
of an elevated 2, less than 3, because the 2 for waves says like small waves, like under 2 to 3 feet, and I think the waves were under 2 to 3 feet. Like I would guess at most they were about 3 feet.
We did we like dipped, but it wasn't
Yeah,
more than 3 feet. Yeah.
yeah. But then in class three, you're also like there. So it's tricky because in class three, there are like obstacles, and there's a bigger chance of like getting splashed and like flipped and stuff. So it's like you can make a case for class three, but then what you also start to see are things like narrow passages.
Mm.
So that we relate to that,
Yeah.
and then you'll have like a you know what I land on class three. We went through a class three. If we had just gone right, we could have done a class zero. And I think when I went later, like a year ago, essentially, I think that they had cut up at least one of the trees that was kind of blocking the river, like the one that was more blocking the river. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that like you could just go straight through if
Oh,
I
fun.
was looking. But instead, I made my buddy Elliot and I like we just pulled the canoe, and the water was a lot lower, so we just like dragged the canoe over ground to go on the right side instead of dealing with any of the other stuff. But yeah, so you're looking for narrow passages. There will be a lot of areas where there are like eddies. So like, do you know what an eddy is, Gage?
It's the guy that has three strands of hair and just a craving for jawbreakers.
That's right.
Yeah.
You gotta look out for them when you're out on the river because they'll get you.
They'll try to get your quarters.
Yeah, yeah. So an eddy is like essentially when water is blocked by something. So it might be a rock in the middle of the river. It might be like that piece of like the shore juts out,
Mm-hmm.
so there's like a pool behind it. But when water is blocked in some way, it creates an eddy. And an eddy is a place where the water generally, a lot of times it's just that it's like more still.
Mm-hmm.
But what ends up happening is because of like hydrodynamics, the water flows like backwards into eddies. And so it can create this little area that like when you get into it, if the water's like crazy enough, you can get into an eddy and it's like super chill and great. But like there's like this like gap between the eddy and the water where the water's just like crazy and like you can't get out of the eddy back into the river. Or sometimes like you get caught in the eddy and you didn't want to get caught in the eddy and now you like end up like spinning and stuff like that. So class 3 there will be eddies, more of them. Generally eddies are a good place to like stop and rest.
Mm-hmm.
But as the water gets more and more intense, sometimes you might end up in an eddy that like you struggle to get out of.
So the Ocoee was mostly twos and threes, with like one or two fours.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I say mostly twos and threes. I mean mostly three, with like
Yeah,
some
yeah.
two spread throughout, and then two fours. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, in a stretch of one.
Yeah, a stretch of one.
The doldrums. Excuse me. So yeah. So essentially, like class 3, like you're starting to get like class 1 and 2 are just like beginners, and then class 3 is more like intermediate paddlers, and then like this is kind of where the guided rafts are going to start coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for people that want something that's like exciting, but not like super extreme.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Class 4 is categorized as advanced. And so what you're going to see in these are you're going to see intense, powerful rapids with long, turbulent sections. And so it's like a class 3 is still, you might have to navigate for like 10, 15 seconds, like just like get through this little bit, steer around that, steer around this, get through this tight passage. Whereas a type 4 is like for like those like 10 to 15 seconds, you're like, I might die. Not quite that intense, but like it's like heart pumping action. Like there's white water around you, and for like these 10 to 15 seconds, you're paddling, like navigating, trying to figure out what to do, and like there's chaos everywhere around you. You're gonna probably see big waves, and sometimes on like class 5, 6, like the waves can be like 10 plus feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And so 4 is shorter than that, but then there are also holes are a thing, and essentially what a hole is like the water is going and then like the rocks that are like underneath it, there's a hole below the surface and it can pull you in. I think eddies are essentially the same idea too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can just kind of end up pulled into this area because there's like a recirculating current of sorts. I don't know how much you know about like the idea of like a drowning machine or like a weir.
Is that like the parts that are under or behind waterfalls, kind of?
Yeah, or like the little dams,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah,
part,
yeah.
yeah, that's behind them. And so essentially what happens is the water rushes out and then it comes back up. And when it comes back up, it wants to flow back upstream.
Mm-hmm.
And so it flows back upstream. And if you're caught between like where the water is pretty chill and where it's like coming up, going back upstream, it can be hard to get going back that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an audio listener, I just did a bunch of stuff with my hands. So figure it
It
out.
was cool. It was like watching a shadow puppet.
Picture the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, the surgeon's photograph.
Yeah. But anyways, it's kind of that same idea where you get like a recirculating current and you can struggle to like get out of this section of the river. So it's an obstacle, and you need to be able to see them. And there are ways like if you're good at this stuff, you can identify it. I'm not yet. I want to be someday, but I'm not yet. So the things that you're looking out for are strong currents. The water is kind of in control, and essentially you're like the water is going to decide where you go, and you're trying to make micro adjustments along the way so that you end up like the couple feet like left of that rock that you need to be, and then like the few inches right of that rock that you need to be. And sometimes like part of running it might just be accepting like, okay, yeah, you're gonna do this and then you're gonna hit that rock, and you just want to make sure that you're facing the right direction when you hit that rock so that the raft doesn't tip and you lose everybody. So it just gets a lot more intense. In these rapids, it is where recovery starts to get a lot more difficult. So in a class 3, people fall out. I mean, I think the general consensus is if like you lose everybody. I've never led a whitewater trip before. My assumption is you lose everybody, the raft flips, and you're like the first thing you do is you're counting heads, and then you kind of wait to get out of the rapid, and then you really work on it. And in threes, you might be able to get people like in the middle of the rapid, but in fours, even though it's like really intense, you're gonna have a really difficult time recovering people from these rapids, like in the middle of these rapids. So you really, yeah, want to know what you're doing and have a guide who knows what they're doing if you're going to be on fours. This is for experienced paddlers, and this is like at this level is when rafting trips start getting adventure or marketed as like adventure experiences
Mm-hmm.
instead of little wimpy baby experiences like all the other ones.
Did you fall out on the Ocoee ever?
No, no,
So
I jumped in.
I did. I fell out in one class 3 rapid.
Okay,
It was called the Nosebreaker
okay,
and or broken nose. I think it was Nosebreaker. But essentially, we hit a rock, and the girl who was sitting next to me, she got scared and pushed me out because she was trying to get into the middle, and she ended up pushing me out, and so I fell
yeah.
out during Nosebreaker on the Ocoee, and technically, by their definition, became an Olympic swimmer. But yeah, no, I was able to get back in pretty quick.
Yeah, good.
The thing about falling in is, unless you're someone who's just like really cool under pressure, you forget all the instructions you're given about how to react when you fall out in a rapid.
Yeah, yeah. Like you have to be just like completely reflexes for at least like 10 seconds, and then
Yeah.
you can maybe like put it together, but for that first bit you're just reflexes.
Yeah. It was rough.
Maybe the goal is that like hopefully they won't drown in those first 10 seconds.
Pretty much. I think so. Hopefully their foot doesn't get stuck in a rock and they get
Yeah,
pulled under,
one time.
because I
Sorry.
immediately tried to stand up.
Yeah, that's fair. One time in the doldrums where they let you out to swim, I was in there and I was like, I know they say to only go like feet forward and never feet down, but I'm gonna try it. And I tried it, and I like pretty quickly kicked a rock, and I was like, I'm done. Like, what have I done? Yeah, because the water's like moving too. So like I hit
Mm-hmm.
a rock, and I was like, oh, we're going fast.
Yeah.
So I
It was
did
surprisingly
not do that.
fast in that
Yeah,
spot. Like it
yeah,
didn't feel like it because it wasn't crazy like everywhere else, but it was
yeah.
moving.
You're moving. Yeah. No, I never fell out. I got close one time, and it was the year that we went with like the crazy people. Like I feel like they're so I feel like most years is everything was super chill, always chill. Like
Was it the
we
year that one of the rafts intentionally flipped?
probably
Okay.
probably because like we intentionally went back into a rapid like backwards and like surfed it and like spun around a few times and
Yeah.
stuff, and it was fun, but I almost fell out. So and
We
like
intentionally surfed one too. It would have been the last year we went there, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
good times.
Good times. That was also the year I fell out.
I believe it. Those
Yeah.
guys are crazy. Yeah, so class 4 is where things start to get a little adventure. Well, class 3 is where they start to get adventurous. Class 4 is like you're gonna want a guide with
Hmm.
this probably. You want to be experienced. Class 5 is there's a
People have
pretty
survived it.
people have survived it. I'd say that like between the lowest end of class 4 and the highest end of class 5, there is a considerable divide. Between the lowest end of class 3 and the highest end of class 4, pretty good divide, but I would say not as big. I would assume not as big as like the lowest end of class 4, highest end of class 5. So class 5 is kind of like Gage said, like people have survived it is kind of the best way to describe it.
Technically, one person has survived it.
Minimum of one.
Yeah.
And what you're looking for class 5 rapid is violent, like violent. Picture like violent water flowing in a river. Like picture the scene from The Good Dinosaur where the water comes and takes his daddy. That kind of water. It like picture white water and it's like barreling down and it's crazy and it might be like multiple feet high of just like water like barreling, and you're picturing class 5 rapid. these things are insane. They're violent, extremely long, extremely obstructed, and you might like all of a sudden you're on top of the water and you might drop like 10, 15 feet. Um, you might have like the narrowest possible line that you can do. You can watch videos of people doing this on YouTube, and you're like, okay, I think I understand that they're going to go that way because it looks like slightly safer, and then they go the other way, and you're like, I would have died. Cool. So a lot of fun to watch these, and yeah, like one of the things that I kind of glazed over was that these are long too. So it's like you could be doing this for like half a mile, probably less, but like even like a tenth of a mile, quarter of a mile. So it's like this crazy water, and you're going to be doing it for a while. So it's like you, like class 3, class 4, you have to be on top of your game for a moment, for a little while. Class 5, like you have to be on top of your game for a long time, or you could die. Or odds are very good that you will die. If you fall into one of these, rescue is extremely difficult. You're going to have a very hard time getting out of water. Self rescue is like almost impossible. So that's the thing too. Like for ones, twos, and threes, you can generally self rescue pretty easily. You just swim through. I mean, one, you just swim to the edge and you're good. Twos and threes, like you might have to get through the rapid and then you swim off to the side of the river, and that's that. Like you're rescued. Good job, you did it. Class 4, your ability to self rescue is important. If you can't help yourself, you're gonna suffer probably. Excuse me, but there's a chance that you won't be able to self rescue and you'll need help. And then class 5 is like if you fall in, good luck. You'll want self rescue skills. Like you should be able to swim a good distance because you might need to swim a long time before rescue is even a possibility. That's why I do not do them. That's the only reason. Yeah. So what you're looking for, and like a lot of times people will like stop ahead of a class 5 rapid and they'll like scout it, so they'll look and see, because rivers are constantly changing. So like, is there a tree down, or even though like last week when I did it, the river seemed more dangerous on the right side. The water's a bit lower this time, so is it more dangerous on the left side now? How exactly does it work? So they'll stop and scout, and they do that for earlier rapids too. I've done it for class 1s because I'm a boy. But anyways, yeah, you need to scout, you need to like look ahead, and you essentially like you need to be an expert. I would say one of the best in the world to do a class 5 rapid, with with knowledge that you'll probably succeed. You need to be at the top of your game, and like at the top of the game. So if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking about doing a class 5, based on just like the demographics of who's listening, probably maybe we might get an influx of whitewater people.
For this
Welcome.
specific episode because of the topic. Yeah.
Yeah, so go for it, I guess, if you're an expert at the top of your game. If you're a beginner like me, or even like a younger beginner than me, or like less into it than I am, don't do it. Don't do it. Sometimes I think like, oh man, I just need to jump in and go for it. And like that's how I like to handle things in life. Don't do it. You'll die. Like, long story short, if you are less than an expert and you try a class 5 river, either you will die or God Himself will intervene and save your life. And God loves you, but stupid actions have stupid consequences too. And yeah, so anyways, that's class 5.
Play stupid games, get
Class,
stupid prizes.
yeah, yeah. So class 6 is essentially class 5. The definition of it is like at least one person has survived this before, has made it through and survived it. Class 6 is like, hey, no one has survived this before. Not necessarily people have died, but this is gnarly and intense, and it's a super long rapid. Like, picture everything I just described about class 5. Super long, very violent. There are obstructions, there are rocks that you might hit, there are trees, and if you fall out, you will die. Like, almost certainly you will die. And when I say almost certainly, that feels like I'm like pulling it back a little bit. So just for the sake of brevity, for the sake of like making the point clear, you will die. So I don't know if I made that clear enough. I don't think anyone listening to this is considering running a Class 6 Rapid, I don't need to talk any of you down, but don't do it.
I feel like so there are sections of the Yellow River that are class 6, right? Like big sections.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Yellow
Yeah.
isn't the Yellow River like the most dangerous single river?
I'm not sure. I watched a documentary about people that tried to raft the whole thing in the most of it, like beginning to end, most of it. They walked some sections, but in the east and weren't successful. I think people have done it since then,
Okay.
but yeah, it's like there are a lot of really long, really gnarly sections. I it's worth finding. Some documentary, it's on YouTube, and some guy that was on the that was on that trip essentially posts like his or like after the episode like shares his thoughts about it too and like kind of his perspective because it's like it's a really thrilling story where they get this group together of people that are going to go raft the Yellow River for the first time, but they're like racing against the Chinese because there's a Chinese group that essentially their game plan is to like throw six of them in a big barrel and like screw the lid on and just like send it. And so the Americans are trying rafts and they need to bring like videographers and photographers as well as paddlers and stuff like that. But they get to the top because they're like at the headwaters or whatever. And I think he's a photographer. A guy named I can't remember his last name is David something dies from altitude sickness is what their assumption is. And so that like very immediately puts a damper on the trip. And so there's the guy who's like the leader and like all right, let's go ahead and send it like let's do this thing. We I mean PBS is giving us money to do this or whatever. They had money from some sponsor, probably not PBS, but some sponsor pushing for it. So they because it's like a TV special. So they go for it and they're going for it and then over the course of I don't know, the few days, weeks or whatever, at multiple times is just like they try to go through a rapid and it just doesn't work like a boat ends up flipping and like no one dies or anything but it's just a super demoralizing experience so they mutiny they stage a mutiny against not necessarily mutiny but just like yeah mutiny like hey boss we talked and we'd prefer if these guys were in charge instead so they do that and then essentially the guy that was in charge is like oh I quit I'm out and so just like they're at a village and he leaves and then the rest of them keep trying to go on and they're unsuccessful. So one guy, the guy that's like sharing his story, like he stopped. Essentially, they're stopped on the side of the river, and he just decides, like he's in China, he's an American in China, and he's like, I'm just gonna walk until I find a town. Like I'm just gonna hike until I find a town and like ask for help. And so hikes like 15 miles like in one direction until he finds a town and asks for help. And then eventually they all end up getting rescued and they don't make it all the way. Very fascinating documentary that I don't remember the name of. So you're welcome. But I just gave you all the really important parts. So,
Yeah.
anyways, class six, you'll die. The people that do them are like I said, you got to be at the top of your game, top of the game. Like I would guess that there are maybe 100 people in the world, if that many, that should try a class six rapid. These are
Because like the point of trying a class 6 is to make it a class 5.
yeah,
Like that's the point
yeah. Well,
essentially is to be the first person to survive it.
yeah. And so something that is tricky is that something that is a class 3 at like one water level might be like a class 4 when the
Mm.
water's higher. And sometimes vice versa, like the water's lower, therefore this thing that was completely submerged and wouldn't have been an issue at all is now like in the water, like in your
Mm-hmm.
way. So now it gets bumped up. Yeah, so the rating is like kind of a guideline
Mm-hmm.
generally. And so there are probably some sections that like are like a class 6, but like during a drought, maybe they're a low class 5.
Mm.
So it's interesting how it kind of shifts over time. Yeah, that's it. That's the grand overview. Is that class 1 is like, hey, there's water here, and class 6 is I will kill you. That's from the water. The
Yeah.
water said that. Yeah. Any thoughts or questions, Gage?
I think I've got most of my thoughts out as we were going through it, to be
Yeah.
fair. This stuff is fascinating. I don't really have a lot of desire to ever go on anything class 4 or higher ever again, personally.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me interrupt you.
No, that's it.
Yeah, I think if I yeah I don't really either. I've got a good amount of like thrill seeking in me, but I'm getting kind of old. Like I'm turning 30 in a couple months, few months. I like I have. I mean, back when I only had a wife, like still kind of willing to like do adventurous stuff that might kill me because she can fend for herself. But now that I have a son, it's like I I don't need to do stuff that like has like a high chance of killing me if I'm inept. Because here's the thing, I am. I'm very inept at a lot of things, and so I shouldn't choose to do the things that will kill me if I'm inept. I do at one point. I've talked before probably on the show about how I want to do the Yukon River,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like mostly class one because a lot of it is just river. But then as far as rapids go, there are twos, and then like well, it's like there's like one rapid, and it's like a two that sometimes is a three if the water's high enough.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, you just have to keep to the right side and endure the waves, and then you're good to go. But it's like 14 days of canoeing or kayaking or whatever. So I hope one day to
Sheesh.
be able to take that trip with Isaiah and yeah, just do 2 weeks out camping in Canada. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I have. Thanks for listening. If you are considering doing a class 6 rapid, you are braver than me.
RSVP, my friend.
RSVP.
I don't want to handle this in a non-respectful way, but we did a while back an episode on Jane Goodall
Yeah,
and the Gombe Chimpanzee War, and she passed away today
she did.
as of our recording this.
Yeah,
And
October 1st.
October 1st, she passed away at 91.
Yeah,
She lived a very, very exciting life in a lot of ways
yeah,
and did a lot for our understanding of how animals live and work together and also just conservation in general. So she did a lot of really good work in those
yeah,
areas and is just a really interesting person to learn about. Um,
yeah. I mean, like, in my opinion, I cannot fathom a life more thrilling and interesting than the life that she lived.
yeah,
So, yeah, definitely think she was great. Yeah, well, kind of a like probably did more for the world of wildlife stuff than Steve Irwin did.
yeah,
But like similar figure.
yeah. But yeah, that's not pertinent to this episode, but I said
Yeah.
RSVP and it made me think of it.
Well, it was a class 4 rapid that did her in. So,
Doing class fours at 91, and I'm
yeah.
not willing to do them at 29.
She's pretty cool, man.
She was pretty cool. But yeah, one of the things that I think would be fun to do every once in a while is to do updates to previous episodes we've done, if there are updates to things we've talked about. It's
Well,
just
that guy
unfortunate
died
that
now.
most of them are that someone died.
Yeah. RSVP Steve Harwell, Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth, yeah. But yeah, that's fun. That was very interesting. It was very interesting. Thank you, DJ.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Yeah.
So yeah, do you have a what you're into?
Sure. I mention Link's Awakening last time? Was that what I
Yes.
said? Okay. So I've beaten that now. I did use cheats. Did I say that too? Had I already
Yes.
beaten it? Okay.
You said
Well,
you used cheats. You hadn't said you beat it. I don't
okay, I
think.
beat it. I was like, it was holding me up because sometimes I know that if I play something new, I'm gonna get like I'm never gonna come back. So I'm like, DJ, just eat your potatoes. Like, just do it. Eat your broccoli. Potatoes are pretty good. So is the game. Anyways, irrelevant. So I'm past Link's Awakening now, and I've been trying to think if there's anything I've been really playing lately. I haven't had a lot of free time. I've been working on Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance. Just a good little war game. It's fun. I enjoy Advance Wars on the Game Boy Advance. Very similar
Mm-hmm.
games. So yeah, I've been playing little war games on
Yeah.
the Game Boy Advance. What about you, Gage?
Just recently, somebody purchased FC for me,
Nice.
and I've been playing that, and it's pretty fun. But that's actually never mind. No, here's what I'm going to shout out. I'm going to shout out something that's really lame but really fun. A group of people from the wedding that I was at 2 weeks ago, as of recording this, have started playing Fortnite together.
Nice. Have you been playing?
Yes, I have.
Nice. It's like surprisingly fun.
It really is. Well, and there's so many different game modes that I didn't
Yeah.
realize were there. We've been playing
Yeah, it
Prop
blew my
Hunt.
mind. Nice.
Yeah. It's been so much like Prop Hunt is so fun. Most of you listening to this, you probably like anybody who would
Garrett,
play
you know.
Prop Hunt. Garrett, you know what Prop Hunt is. But it's so much fun. I've been having so much fun playing Fortnite with these people. But we've been doing that. We've been playing a little bit of Phasmophobia here and there, and Jackbox games, stuff like that. They really want me to play Fall Guys, but I refuse to play Fall Guys.
Game
So
blows.
that's but there's this little group of people that are playing video games together now, and it's a lot of fun.
Love that. That's
And
fun.
it's like people who, other than Sam Stuckey and Jared, I never expected any of the others to play video games. So
Nice.
it's been a good time.
Good.
So the thing I'm into, friendship. And DJ, by the way, do you think we might be able to, speaking of friendship and playing games together, do you think we might be able to play Grounded on Halloween again? I know you're going trick or treating or trunk or treating.
Did I say that?
I thought you said Isaiah was going to dress up as Bluey.
Oh, if I did, it was a joke.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I can probably do that. I bet that can be arranged.
Because that might be kind of fun to get back into Grounded. I opened it the other day and was like, I just don't want to play alone.
Yeah, that's fair. It's harder alone.
Well, that too, but also I don't remember anything. It's been almost
Yeah,
a year,
significantly harder alone.
significantly.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So online games are more fun than I ever gave them credit for.
Mm, it's true. Thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. If you're still here, you're welcome. I'm glad that you're glad that you got to hear our voices. Yeah, we're grateful for everyone who listened, whether you made it here or not. And we're grateful for the people that do tune in regularly. We know that Garrett's not the only one, probably. So we're grateful for you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making it this far. Even if you're like barely listening right now, that's fine. That's the way that podcasts make it, is that people don't actually listen to them, or like they're kind of half listening to them while it's in the background. That is our highest aspiration, is to be one of your background podcasts. And so right now,
My dream is that you will fall asleep listening to us and you have autoplay turned on.
that's beautiful. Also, Alexa, buy a new toaster. Yeah, so whatever. Thank you so much. Thank you. Huge shout out to Adam Ward and Jared Scrother for our intro and outro music. Normally, Jacob Casey for our intro outro music sometimes. And shout out to Gage for kind of handling everything else. Always. Is there anyone else I need to mention? Huge shout out to Orange Cat Always for, I don't know.
Yeah.
Huge shout out to everyone that we've offered to show your products and you've said no to us,
Yeah.
because we are not worth selling your products.
But yeah, anyways, as DJ said, thank you all so much for being a part of this journey. Thank you, DJ, for coming up with ideas for how to just for episodes, and for sticking along for the dumb ideas I throw out there as well. I've really appreciated not only getting to be creative, but also just having so much intentional time with you. It's been good, and yeah,
2 years
almost at two
of
years, man.
bestie time. Well, as always, our thanks should be sufficient. But in the event that they are not, please, 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 please thank yourself.